day 4, my final day, I had packed up, or started packing up when I got back Sunday night. So I didn't have to do everything in the morning, and I had to check out by 11. So I thought, okay, well, if I just start to get everything ready, I haven't got too much to do in the morning. So I got up about 9:30, got showered, got dressed, got prepared for the airport, like what I needed to have in, easy accessible stuff in my bags. And there was a luggage room at the hotel, so I could just go and leave my luggage there for the day. And then I went over to Universal, spend my last day in the parks. So when I was on my way there, I found out that there was a garage sale that they were having all weekend, which was only open to pass holders. So I thought, I'll go and check it out. So I went over to the garage sale. I think they do it once a year. Normally they do it after Halloween Horror Nights, but they were doing it early this year for some reason. There was a lot of stuff that wasn't of much interest to me. I think it opened on like the Friday or the Saturday, and a lot of the hot ticket items had already gone by the Sunday, obviously, but they kept putting new stock out. So bits that were coming through, I was able to get some interactive wands for very reasonable prices. I want to say about $13, I think I paid in the end for the interactive wands. So it was really good. So I did that, and then I tried to rent a locker to put the shopping in, and I couldn't work out why, but it just wouldn't take my card. So I spoke to somebody at Guest Relations, and she got someone to come and help me, and I showed her, and she said, look, no problem, don't worry about it, I'll comp the locker for you, which is, again, really kind. Another example of really good cast members that they had while I was there. So I put my stuff in a locker. I later found out, for some reason, it was through the mag strip on my card. It's not active. You have to activate it. And so that's why it didn't work. I don't know why. Because it looked like a normal kind of like PIN code thing. It didn't look like you just swiped it. So, yeah, I don't know why it was asking for that, but that's why I couldn't get a locker. So that's a tip for you if you get stuck like I do. If you've got a card which disables the magnetic strip being used for transactions, just switch that on and then that will work for you. But yeah, so I managed to put my shopping away. I managed to go on the Mummy again. I went back to try and do Gringotts again. No dice on that one. And then I was pretty much done with Universal. There was just a few more things that I wanted to go over and do at Islands of Adventure. I went and got another return time for Hagrid's when I got there. And then with the remaining time that I had, I went back and did Spider-Man and Kong. I went to the AP Lounge for the first time. I'd never done that before. That's in Toon Lagoon. While I was in Toon Lagoon, I also went down to Wimpy's and had a Dole Whip for the first time. One of the best things I've ever eaten in my life. I absolutely love Dole Whip. I would eat that every day. Just so nice. If you don't like pineapple, you're not going to like it, because that's obviously what it is. But man, that was good. That was really good. And yeah, just kind of hung about Islands of Adventure while waiting for my return time. Velocicoaster went down. I'd still made the decision by that point not to go on it, because I didn't want to then have to sit on a plane for 8 hours in agony because I'd gone on a ride that had jolted my back. But it gives me a reason to go back, right? So that's the kind of main thing. And then had my return time, managed to go back to Hagrid's, go on that again. This time I went in the sidecar. The person I got paired up with, she said to me, "Oh, do you mind if I go on the bike?" And I was like, "No, absolutely not," because I'd done it the day before anyway. So I was more than happy to let her. It was her first time going on it as well, as it'd been mine the day before. So I was happy to kind of like return the favour. Sitting in the sidecar's cool. I did prefer the bike a little bit more. I think just because you got like the handles. But yeah, really enjoyable. And yeah, easily my favourite attraction. What was weird is that Spider-Man had always been my favourite ride. Now, again, maybe because I was going as a single person, I kept obviously getting put at the end of the road for Spider-Man, and I noticed that the 3D at times was really iffy, and I didn't just know if that's because of where I was sat or just in general. It's a bit iffy nowadays, but it meant that I didn't enjoy the ride as much as I had done previously, because it looked jerky. It then, with the movement, made me feel a bit funny. So yeah, it was disappointing that I felt it was a bit off, but it's still a great attraction. It's just, especially now Hagrid's, it's definitely kind of down in my pecking order of my favourite attractions, which I never thought I'd say about Spider-Man. That is a 24-year-old attraction now as well. So, still a overall great ride, but yeah, it's just something that kind of had disappointed me a little bit. So once I felt that I had done everything that I wanted to do, there was a few more things that I wanted to pick up as souvenirs for the way home. Got some fridge magnets, some wife likes fridge magnets. Got myself some commemorative coins for old attractions that I had my eye on. I'd been looking at t-shirts. There was nothing that really, in the end, that took my fancy. So I didn't end up coming away with a Halloween Horror Nights t-shirt. I came away with my cup, so I was quite happy with that. But yeah, I felt that I'd had enough enjoyment from the weekend. I didn't need to really buy anything more, so that was that. I'd read that there was a storm coming about 5 o'clock, which is when I was supposed to be leaving to get my not my flight home, but I was supposed to travel to the airport at that time. And I thought, I don't really want to be caught up in a rainstorm. So I decided to leave a little bit earlier. I decided to go back to the Hot Dog Hall of Fame to try again to get their vegan hot dog. I ordered it. They said, just wait over there. I went and got myself, I topped up my water bottle with some more ice water, went back over to them, got called over, and they said, we've got to cook it. It's going to take about another 12 minutes. At this point, I'd already been waiting 5, and I just said, you know what, I'm going to cut my losses, just don't bother. So I got a refund for that, never had the hot dog at all. Ended up going back to Breadbox and getting another sandwich, because their sandwiches were quite nice. And some chips, and then made my way back to my hotel. Got there, ordered myself an Uber. Cost about $26 this time to go from the hotel to the airport. Got to the airport about 5, which is about 3 and a bit hours before my check-in time. My departure time. But I just wanted to be there. Just wanted to make sure that I was able to get there in time. Went to the check-in area, checked in my luggage. Really nice new kind of conveyor belt system they've got for the luggage. It's obviously a new part of the airport. Did that, went through security, which took a lot longer than I was expecting. I had to take my shoes off as well, which I thought was a bit odd, but, America. And went through that, their scanner thing. And, just waiting departures. I thought the offerings were a bit lacking in Orlando. There was a Disney shop which was nice to walk around. There was a Universal shop that was nice to walk around in case there was anything that I saw in there that I couldn't get in the parks. For example, there was a t-shirt I really wanted and couldn't find it in my size. Only found it in one shop at Universal. They had it there at the airport, but again, not in the right size, unfortunately. But the food options I thought were quite lacking. In the end, I just went to Shake Shack and got some cheese fries, because there wasn't really anything. They do a mushroom burger. I'm not big on mushrooms, especially not after going through The Last of Us. So yeah, I just had some cheese fries. Again, it was an 8:50 flight. I wasn't sure what they were going to do for food, when they were going to give us food. So I thought, as long as I've eaten something, I'm not going to starve. The food on the way back wasn't particularly great. But I did take some sleep medication. I bought some sleep medication while I was out there and took that when I got on the plane. Managed to get about 5 hours sleep, which was great. On a plane to sleep that many hours, really good. And then, spent a couple of hours up, watched a little bit of TV, and we arrived at Gatwick. We left slightly late because of the weather. We arrived slightly early because of the weather. Go figure, time travel, I don't know. When I got to Gatwick, my suitcase had been broken. The handle had been snapped. I don't know how, because the handle had been retracted when it was put on the conveyor belt. But when I got to Gatwick, it had snapped. So I've just been contacted about getting a replacement. So I'm going to sort that out with the airline. It just meant the journey home was a bit more of a problem, because I had to kind of wheel my case by like a small handle rather than like a more ergonomic one. But it was what it was. It took me 2 hours to get back because I did things slower because of the suitcase being broken. And that was it. That was my weekend. Let's wrap this up. All right, that's it. I'm done with Universal. There's a storm coming apparently, so I'm leaving a bit earlier to make sure that I get to the airport on time, like a responsible adult. I've had to do so much adulting this trip, it's been disgusting. But yeah, successful, enjoyable, but I'll discuss more of that later on. It was a great weekend, all in all. I'm really glad that I did it. I probably, for the entire weekend, I reckon I must have spoken for no more than an hour the entire weekend. It was mainly to cast members, to shop staff, or when I bumped into people. I didn't bump into, but I went and saw Epic Phil. Before he departed, he was going home the Saturday after I got there. So I only got to see him for 10 minutes before he was getting picked up to go to the airport himself, but it was nice to see him. I had not seen him since 2019. I also, on my last day, just as I was leaving the parks, actually bumped into Kevin Curtis-Allen, who has a podcast on our network. It was nice to see him and his wife. Just speak to them for a little bit. But what I took away was, I think more importantly, was the fact that I could go away for that amount of time on my own and be able to enjoy myself and enjoy my own company, enjoy the freedom that allowed, by not having to worry about what other people wanted to do at a different time. I appreciate it's not for everybody, right? I understand that some people wouldn't like to do that kind of thing. So I'm lucky in that regard that I do enjoy that. I'm also lucky that I have a very understanding wife who knows how much I enjoy doing this and, encourages me to go and pursue, doing these type of things in this way. We tried to do it on our honeymoon, and she went in one house and tried to go for a second and was like, nope, I can't put myself through it. And I get it, because they are, when you first do them, they can be quite scary, but I've kind of got used to how they work, and, I enjoy the effort that they put into how they make these houses look. And, in that regard, this year was a big success for Universal. But what I took away was that I can do this and I would like to do this again. Absolutely. I really enjoyed being able to do it, the holiday, in the way that I did it. If I did it again, which I would like to think I could do, I would probably go for an extra day, just because, I was trying to squeeze a lot into that 4 days. And I mean, it wasn't really 4 days, because, by the time I could even get into the parks on the first day I arrived, it was already getting dark. Right? It was 8 o'clock before I'd even got into the main hub of Universal. So that first day, when you're travelling, you're only going to be able to really do a bit of Halloween Horror Nights, if you can even do it. I mean, because of how I sleep or how I don't sleep, I was able to kind of like crack on and go through fairly late. But, not everyone has the stamina to do that. They need to try and get their body clock sorted out. I just wanted to like just plough through and get it done. So yeah, I would absolutely like to do a Thursday to Monday, which is what we did last time. It just gives you that little bit extra time that means that you can do things at that slow pace, but also probably get everything done. But yeah, I had a great time. The event itself, like the Halloween Horror Nights event itself, was great. It wasn't my favourite. I still think 2019 was better overall. And there were things I loved about 2017 as well. But I think generally this was a good year. I was really pleased to see it. I think, and this will change, and I'm going to be hopefully guesting on Epic Phil's podcast to talk about this. But I think my favourite house was probably a toss-up between Stranger Things and Dueling Dragons. I really enjoyed both of those a lot. But, I had some good food. I had some good experiences. I managed to go on some of the best attractions you'll find at any theme park. And the good thing about Universal as well is the size it currently is, right? So, in that 4 days, or 3 days, let's call it 3 days, because that's what it really was. In those 3 days, if you are prepared to put the time in, you can do all of those attractions in that park really easily. In the end, I went into the parks properly for 2 days and still got the majority of stuff done. But if you've got 3 days, you can absolutely get everything done if you want to. Stay and Scream, I didn't do, as I mentioned. And I still had a great time. Would I do Stay and Scream again in the future? Possibly. I don't know. I'm not entirely convinced. I know why people do it, but the thing I don't like about Stay and Scream is because you're going from this bright sunlight into these really dark houses that your eyes can't adjust properly, and those first few houses are a nightmare to walk through, because you're not seeing things properly and you're more likely to bump into things or people. But it's a good way of getting stuff done quickly. So I understand why people like Stay and Scream, but I normally do it because other people want to do it, and I don't feel that I missed anything by not doing it. What I probably would do, though, is I would probably go to the parts a bit earlier than I was doing so. Or, alternatively, go in and have a sleep in the afternoons. Get 3 or 4 hours sleep in the afternoons. Wake up about 5 or 6. Then start to make my way over to Halloween Horror Nights. Or even maybe a bit later, get something to eat. Or if you go early, get something to eat before you go into Halloween Horror Nights. So you start about 8, 9 o'clock. And then see if you can last through to at the end of the night, because those wait times come down dramatically. And you can do, 2 or 3 houses easily in an hour, if not less. So, yeah. I think the only thing that is always saying to be not concerned about, but consider, is when you walk for a house and it's a 20-minute wait time. If that's completely accurate, it'll be 20 minutes to go in the house. Then about 5 or 6 minutes to walk through the house. And then about another 10 or 15 minutes to actually get out the house. Because you normally have to kind of like walk through this convoluted walkway to get all the way back outside to the parks again. So that's the only thing. That's why I say you can probably only do 2 or 3 houses in an hour. Not because you can't because of the time, but because of all the stuff you've got to do in between that time. But yeah, I had just a great trip. And as I said, my wife is already talking to me about if I'm going to be going back next year. And I've said, I don't know. Because I don't. I don't know. But would I like to? Yes. Would I do it again solo? Yes. Would I do it as part of a group? Also yes. But there was something definitely to be said about doing it solo that I really enjoyed. As to the costs, my flight and hotel, I paid $670 all in. The Rush of Fear was about $179, I believe. And that gave me access to Halloween Horror Nights. If you want tickets for the parks, obviously you've got to factor that in as well. But that gives you just a rough idea of how much it might cost you to go. Obviously, if you want to get Ubers or stuff like that, you have to factor those costs in, and they will vary depending on the time of day and the journey type. But, overall, I thought it was fairly reasonable for what it was. If you've enjoyed these videos, please like, share, consider subscribing to the channel. It's free. There will be more content coming soon. I'm looking to kind of expand the things that I talk about on here. And we'll certainly be doing some stuff on retro gaming soon, if that might be of interest. As well as the odd park thing as well, if you like theme parks. But, thank you for watching. And who knows, maybe you'll see me in the fog next year.